All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Joe Armstrong, and I have been with Georgetown Parks and Recreation now for 24 years. So I have done, and I have done this, and every year it changes just a little bit. So, but I love it. It's a wonderful job. I've been very blessed to be in this position. I am married, and I have 3 teenage kids in high school. One's about to go off to college. So I know exactly what you guys are going through. Anyway, glad you're here. The plan for tonight is I'm just going to go real quick. I'm going to go over what paperwork you should have to make sure everybody's got everything they should have. And then we're going to go through, kind of just hit some important highlights. And then I will answer any questions that you may have. Once we finish here tonight, what's going to happen is we're going to go through this back door back here, okay, all the way back through there, and then we're going to make a line, and then that's Hallie in the back there. Hallie's my supervisor, and she's helping out with the meeting tonight. And we're going to be back over there, and we're going to receive your paperwork. And when you get done and we get all your paperwork in tonight, because that's the whole one of the biggest ideas for having this meeting is getting everything taken care of, so it's less for me to take care of in the summer. You get to choose a water bottle. We have a bunch of different colored water bottles you can have, so you can have a water bottle, or this year I also have some water shirts, okay? So if you would rather have that, just know these are very tight fitting. This you would never guess is a large, okay? But I have them all the way up to 3XL. So if you want them a little bigger, I'd say at least go 2 sizes bigger than what you normally wear, okay? But they are meant to fit tight because they're rash guards and they're tight fitting. So if you would like a tight fitting rash guard, you can select that instead of the water bottle, okay? All right, so everybody should have a packet. Hopefully you have a packet and a pen. You should have the sessions that you're in, should have some information. There's a big packet. And then you should have some release forms. And the release forms that you should have, for everybody should have one of these that says Adventure Camp Guidelines on one side, and then it says Authorization to Administer Medications on the other side. Okay, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. You should also have, if you're in session 1, you should have that form, but you should also have this little thing. It tells you it's an online form. It has the address right there in case you want to do it in your phone and get it taken care of tonight. That is in for a session 1. There is one form, the caving release, Whirlpool Caving, that is not in the packet. Okay, for sessions 1 and sessions 2, okay? Those caving forms are taped, are actually over on the desk where you're going to be registered and turning in your paperwork, so you can fill that form out as you're waiting in line, you're getting up there, you can go ahead and take care of that form, okay? That's for session 1. Session 2, different address. So if you, I don't think there's anybody that's in session 1 and session 2, but make sure you register for the right session. They're different addresses for the different sessions, okay? And then 3 and 4, if you're in session 3 or 4, the only one you have is that one that we've already talked about. There's no additional liability waivers. For session 5 and 6, for the extreme water sports camps, you should have a Baylor Campus Recreation, and that is front and back, okay? And if you're in sessions 5 and session 6, you only have to fill out at one time, okay? Because you should just have one in your packet, all right? And then there is a Texas Ski Ranch. That's an online waiver, and the address is there. Same thing for 5 and 6. If you're in session 7, okay, right here, you should also have this Crux Climbing Center online waiver. It tells you where to go and how to fill it out. And then there also, the last form for session 7 is this Whirlwinds Participant Agreement of Risk. That is for the windsurfing. Okay, those are those things. And if you are not registered for session 7 and you might change your mind, we still have some spots left in that camp. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to North Padre Island for a few days, and we're going to do some windsurfing, hang out at the beach. doing some camping out at the beach. It's going to be a lot of fun. So think about that one. All right, so those should be all the forms that you have. If you don't have any of these things, we can help you out after this meeting to get the correct ones to make sure you have the right ones. So we're going to go over, first thing we're going to kind of go over is I'm going to start with session 1. I'm kind of work my way through, and when we go over some of the stuff that's similar, so session 1 and session 2 are going to be almost identical, okay? Except for a couple little changes. They're going to be almost identical. But the first thing that I kind of want to go over, because it's important, is the rules. And these rules are the same for every camp. So if you want to just kind of look, it's like the second page in the front. We have the Adventure Camp Guidelines, okay? Number 1 is alcohol and drugs, except by a doctor's prescription, are prohibited, okay? Number 2, this one's important. Please complete the authorization to administer medications form. This form provides us a list of prescription drugs and dosages that your child will be taking while attending camp. This form also gives camp staff permission to administer over-the-counter medications to your child as needed. Medications should be, if you're bringing them for like the overnights, medications should be stored in properly marked containers as mandated by federal law. Okay, so even if you don't have, your child's not bringing medications, I would like you to go ahead and fill that form out. And the reason for that is I do carry, because I do wilderness first aid, I'm certified, and I carry an extensive first aid kit, and I carry things like ibuprofen, Tylenol, Benadryl. So like, for example, last year I had a child that was stung by a bee. And so my first thing, especially if they've never been stung before, is to give them some Benadryl. That's one of the first things. And so I had to, that one did not get signed. And so I had to go in there and I had to make sure it takes some time to get a hold of you. So if you sign that, that gives me permission in that situation to be able to give them some medication, to give them some medication for that situation. So please go ahead and fill that, even if they're not bringing any medicine to camp or anything, still fill that out. Let's see here. Question number 3. Weapons and fireworks are prohibited. This includes all knives, including pocket knives. Please just leave the pocket knives at home. That's one of those things that I've learned over the 24 years. When we first started, those things were allowed, but not anymore. It's one less thing that we don't have to worry about. So please leave those at home. Electronic devices are acceptable for van travel with appropriate music game selection. Participants are responsible for keeping up with their own personal belongings. All electronics, including cell phones and earbuds, must stay in the van during outdoor programming. One of the ideas behind this program is to get away from our electronics. We're so plugged. It's time to unplug. And so when we're in camp, other than the only time that I allow them is when we're traveling, we're making those trips, because sometimes we have to travel for a little while. So I allow them in the van for that purpose while we're traveling. But when we're doing the activities, those things stay in the van. So I'll leave it up to you whether you want them to have those and bring them with them. We'll talk about the way we communicate in just a little bit. But I do have a cell phone. So. The city policy of clean language spoken here is enforced. This includes cursing, sexual innuendos, off-color jokes, etc. Our goal is to provide a safe and wholesome environment for participants to attend camp. Participants should stay with the group unless permission is given by a staff member. Okay. If a participant is absent for a specific day, please let me know ahead of time or call the rec center. And have the number for the rec center there and let someone know. So, the way that we communicate in camp, and I'm just going to highly encourage you to go ahead. I use the Remind app, and sometimes plans change for the day, things come up, and we may change a plan a little bit. That's one of the main ways that I can communicate with you, and it's pretty instant. And so on those pages, when we go over these things, it gives you how to enroll in that. Okay, so I ask you to put that on there. Overnight trips, Females are not allowed in males' tents rooms, and males are not allowed in females' tents rooms. Participants are to conduct themselves in such a way as to be a positive representative of the city of Georgetown. If a participant does not follow the established rules and guidelines or needs to be sent home due to medical reasons, the parent agrees to pick his or her child up within 24 hours and incur all costs of transporting the child and chaperone home via airlines, bus, and automobile. So those are one of those things that I learned over my 24 years. I just want that especially for the overnight trips, if somebody is misbehaving and not following the rules, I'll send them home. I don't do it a lot. It's not something that's not like the first option. It's usually an option that's down the line. But if somebody is not following the rules, we'll send them home. I've only had to do it like a few times in 24 years. So just to let you know that is an option. Okay, normal drop-off times will run from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. So most of them are from 9 to 5. You'll see a few exceptions. So if it's earlier, usually my staff will arrive 30 minutes earlier because the drop-off is going to be over at the rec center on the teen center side. And the last picture kind of explains the drop-off policy, where to drop off. When you drop off, okay, you need to make sure that you have your ID, okay? Because it may not be somebody, if it's somebody that's very familiar with child abuse, then that's something, but every time, make sure that they have, or whoever's picking them up, have their ID. They also have to be on the pickup list. And the way that they're on the pickup list, when you filled out that little questionnaire and you identified the parents and you identified who your emergency contacts were, those are the people that are on the pickup list. So if there's somebody else that you want to add to the pickup list, you can tell us tonight when we're up there and we can add that. We can try to add them in so that they're in the pickup list. I'll probably just jot it down and we'll straighten it up later. So just let us know if there's somebody else that you want to add to your pickup list. Okay. Payment policy. The remaining balance for each registered session should be paid in full 7 days prior to the start of session. We reserve the right for withdrawal participants from a session if the remaining balance is not paid in full. So just make sure a week ahead of time, for those of you, some of you paid in full, but some of you did the camp payment plan. If we don't, it's set up so that a week out, unless you tell us different, it's going to, whatever credit card that what you registered for is on file, it's going to pull that amount out of your credit card. So I just want to let you know and make sure that you're aware of that. Okay, cancellation policies. If we have rainy weather, camp, we're still meeting. We'll have rainy day activities that we'll do. And last summer it did not rain too much. I think there was a couple times we had to adapt, but most of the time we had. But we just get whatever weather we dealt. That's what we deal with. Okay, any questions about the rules? All right, we're doing good. Okay, so session 1, we are doing a little bit different than session 2, and the main difference is that we are caving on the first day, and that was because all the caving days, because other like in Austin, they used the same cave. It filled up really, really fast. So that's the day that we got. So we're going to be caving on Monday. I normally like to do it later in the week, but we're going to be caving on Monday for that first session. The only other liability waiver for that one is the Texas paintball. At the bottom, that is how you enroll in the Remind app. You just type that to the number that's given right there, and then it should enroll you in that. Okay. As far as what to pack, this is for sessions 1 and sessions 2. Every day, almost every day on sessions 1 and 2, we are going to be swimming and we're going to be in the water. So you need to make sure, and especially if it's like the first thing we're doing is swimming, then you need to make sure that you have you show up in your swim clothes. So it's one less thing to do. Make sure that you have 2 quart-size water bottles. You can get one tonight, okay? The important thing about a water bottle is that it holds enough water, okay? And then also a screw on top. You'll see some water bottles with the pop-up lids. Those are not as good, because when you get into water, for example, we do some kayaking or things, that water can get into those water bottles, and we want to make sure that they're closed up and that it's keeping the water in that's supposed to stay in there. So a closed lid, screw-on lid, and about 2 quarts of water is what you need, okay? And like I said, tonight you can get one of those. All right, sunglasses. If you bring your sunglasses, you should also bring, especially around the water things that we do, you should invest in the little insurance policy, those little chums or croakies or whatever they're called, the things that go around the back of your head so that if you knock your glasses off, you don't lose them, okay? Good investment to make. Sunscreen. I have SPF 30 or more, water resistant, and I prefer the lotion. And the reason for that is this. Especially first session 1, we don't quite have our tans yet, our summer tans. And some of us are a little more fair-skinned than others. So when you do that quick spray, it doesn't always get on there. And so when you have the lotion, you take the time to wipe it on there, it goes on a little better, okay? And we try to reapply every few hours, 2 or 3 hours. We try to reapply each day. Rain gear as needed, insect repellent, hat for the sun, swimsuit, and I have one-piece tankini for the girls, t-shirt for water, and if the girls have a bikini, just a swim shirt with it. So we just like to make sure that everything's, and when we're in the water, everything stays covered. That's what we go with. Towel, water shoes with straps or laces. Okay, this is important. Flip-flops will not stay on when we're kayaking in swift water. Okay, that's the reason we want some kind of tennis shoes are great water shoes. An old pair of tennis shoes work great. Things that don't work very well are Crocs. Some of the Crocs are better than others. They make Crocs a lot better than they used to. So something that's going to stay on their feet and not the water socks. So when I say water socks, they're like those slip-on things that you just slide on your feet. Those come off really easily in swift water. So a good pair of water shoes. Disposable waterproof camera. They still sell those. I'm surprised because a lot of times the kids are like, can I just bring my cell phone so I can take pictures? It's going to stay in the van, okay? So if you want to take pictures, you can buy yourself a disposable waterproof camera, or I take a lot of pictures. I have a camera, and myself and my staff, and sometimes I get the kids to even help out. We try to take quite a few pictures, okay? And then every day they need to bring a sack lunch, okay? When I say sack lunch, I say sack lunch. You can bring your little cooler or whatever it is that you can have a little ice pack in there. That's acceptable too, okay? So bring that every day. For caving, when they go caving, they're going to get really, really dirty, okay? So dirty that they may not want, sometimes they're hard to wear again because they're going to get really muddy, okay? Old, long pants, all right? Old, long pants. So we need long pants, not shorts for that day. Bless you. So that way they don't get scraped up or torn up. So long pants, and then I have a t-shirt's fine. If you have a long t-shirt, that's fine too. An old pair of closed-toed shoes. So just an old pair of shoes. And it can double as your caving shoes and your water shoes. All right. For paintball, make sure the coverage is best. Okay, coverage is best. When you have skin that's exposed and gets a direct hit, sometimes it can leave little marks and things. But make sure that you have some long sleeves or long pants for that day, so they get more coverage. Okay. And then I have on here, synthetic is really good. Synthetic clothes. When I say not cotton, cotton's not great for water because it doesn't retain the heat when it gets wet, and it just stays wet once it's wet. So quick drying things that are made with nylon and polyester, those kind of things are better. All right, any questions about sessions 1 and sessions 2? The difference in session 2 is we're doing the caving on Tuesday, but we are swimming first and then we're caving. That's just the way it worked out. So that's the change in the schedule from session 1 to session 2. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to session 3. All right, let's see here. I'm just going to kind of skim through here, see if there's anything you guys can be. Okay, fishing. A lot of people ask me, can I bring my own fishing pole? You can, but just remember we're in a van. We're going to be traveling in a van each day, and we are full, which means every seat is occupied. So it's really hard to fit those things in and your fishing pole. We will provide the fishing pole, so they'll have fishing poles. So yes, you can, but if it's a nice pole, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay. Kayaking. Oh, so most of the days it says what time we're going to leave and what time we're going to get back. That's our estimated time. Okay. Each day when we travel out of town, when we travel out of Georgetown, I use the Remind app to say, hey, we're running a little bit late. Okay. And I try to send it early enough so that you don't start out and you get out there and then you sit and wait. The idea is not to have you have to wait at the rec center, okay, for us. So check those Remind apps, and if we're going to run late, we will let you know. We try to be as close as we can to the time, but you never know. Traffic, things happen. Sometimes we're running just a little bit later than others, so I recommend using that Remind app. Okay, and then Thursday is going to be our Kalahari day that we're going to go to the water park. All right, and as far as packing list goes, it looks very similar to the other camps that we went over, except for one day, the day that we are going to be kayaking, and we're going to be on the water quite a bit. We're going to be usually about a few hours. We're going to be out in the water. We're going to be out in the sun, and it's that direct sunlight usually. So on that day, if you don't have a good tan, or if you're a little lighter skin, fair skin, this is what I recommend: long sleeves. I mean, it's way better to wear long sleeves for a few hours than to make your camping experience miserable. I've had sometimes in the past, I had some kids who didn't wear any sunscreen and they got burned, and then it was just made it for a harder week, okay? So we try, when we go to this camp, we're not out to get a tan. So I just want to let you guys know, our goal is not to get a tan during the week. Our goal is to keep from getting sunburned so that we can enjoy being out, okay? All right, and I said synthetic long pants, and I bought an example of a long sleeve water shirt and an example of some long sleeve light pants, okay? You can get these things from Academy, or you can also, sometimes you get them from Goodwill, you can pick them up from there, and you may already have some sweatpants or something, but you know, some of those sweatpants get really hot, so lightweight, quick drying things that dry really quick for the water. All right. That is session 3 and session 4. Session 5. Let's see here. So on the Tuesday, we are going to be getting back a little bit later on that day. So that's a 5:30 p.m. day for that day. And then on the 10th, we're going to be getting back a little bit late on that day as well for the kayaking day at 6 p.m. And for the 11th, I have on there, this one is one of the ones that may be subject to change. I have a 7:30 a.m. start for that day. And that is just because that's the time that we have to get to the park, the wakeboarding park. So that may change, but we have a while before we have to make that decision. So for right now, if we don't change anything, it'll stay the same. If we do change something, we'll let you know. All right, that's session 5 and 6. Any questions about those sessions? Okay. And I think, let me double check on the packing. The list of stuff to bring is just like the others. Session 7, this one's just a little bit different because this is the travel camp. Do I have anybody who's in session 7? I think I do. Yeah, I have one. Okay, good. That one has a waiver for the rock climb. We're going to go to rock climbing gym one day. It also has a waiver for the windsurfing. And then on that trip, you should bring about $40 for the meals. Okay. That's an estimate. You can see what kind of I have on there. We have a seafood dinner one day and we have a couple of lunches. So when you give money to your child, they're responsible for keeping up with it. If you want, I can, and I have in the past, I have held on to, like, they bring me a Ziploc bag with their name on it, and I hold it out, and I put it in our safe, and then when it's the mealtime, I divvy out a little bit. If you want me to do that, I can do that, but it's a good chance to learn responsibility and keeping up with your stuff. So about $40 is what I recommend for that trip. As far as packing for that trip, a couple of key things. I have a big packing list for coming over the trip. A couple of key things that I'm going to point out in here is make sure that you bring, a good thing to bring is a drawstring backpack. And that is for the showers, because the showers are like your typical public showers, and it's nice something to put your things in to make sure that things don't get wet and slip and fall. So a drawstring backpack, also a sheet, because we are not going to be getting into our sleeping bags unless it's a weird day. But so a sheet is another highly recommended thing for the trip. Okay. For swimwear for guys, one thing I hadn't hit this point. I recommend getting the swim trunks that don't have a liner in them, okay? And then getting some synthetic underwear. And the reason for that is there's less chafing and rubbing that way. That's what I learned. So usually those liners are the things that aggravate those kind of things. So that's my recommendation. Any questions? All right. So what's going to happen next is I'm going to go back and Hallie's going to go back. We're going to be back over here at the desk. If you have more questions, you want to ask me individually, you can do that. We're going to go through the line. We're going to check you off. Please be patient. And then you're going to get you a water bottle or a swim shirt. All right. Thank you, guys.